Hello, and welcome back to Framingham Now. I'm Chad Patrick Lewis, and I'm now joined by Dennis Giombetti. Dennis, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
So, for those just tuning in now, Dennis Giombetti is running against Robert Case to be the City Councilor for District 5, which includes precincts 8 and 12.
Yes.
Dennis, I see you, seems like every day, but at least once a week. You are a former selectman, you work for our Senator Karen Spilka. I'm sure there are, though, a couple people at home just tuning in that haven't met you before. So in the 10, 12 minutes we have together, I'm hoping you'll have a chance to introduce yourself to them. And let's just start by answering the question, who are you and why are you running?
Sure. I'm, as you said, Dennis Giombetti. I was born and raised in Framingham. I went to Framingham Public Schools. I went to Framingham State University. I've married a Framingham native, my high school sweetheart. I've been married for 45 years. We have one daughter who's a school teacher, first grade school teacher in Newton. I have two grandchildren who live in Framingham. One goes to Dunning and the other one's a 2-year-old boy. As you said, I was a selectman in town for 3 terms, chair for 4 years. I also was a town meeting member, finance committee, and really got involved with the community very early in my life. And been involved with the schools, been involved with various organizations. I'm a trustee of the Danforth Museum, Resiliency for Life. I also did some work on the regional level with the 495 Partnership, which is a municipal business organization.
You make me feel like I should do more in the community.
Well, I've been, like I said, I've been
Wow.
around for quite a while. I've been actively involved in the community in many ways. I decided to run and get back into public service around the whole notion of wanting to make the city government work. I love this community. I've been engaged in this community for a long, long time, and a new form of government, I think, is going to need some stabilizing folks on the city council. Not only do we need the right mayor, but I think we need the right balance on the city council. As I've said on many occasions, that the core strength of the district, of the charter, was really a district representation, where we're going to have neighborhoods and people who haven't been involved or had a voice in government for decades, if at all. Now we'll have that voice. They'll have new voices. I think we need to balance that with some folks who have been around, who know government, know the community quite well, and kind of be a stabilizing force to steer the ship so that as we make that transition, it's a smooth transition as possible. That's really why I decided to run.
Excellent. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about your priorities for Framingham. Let's fast forward a couple months. You're sworn in, you're working, it's day one. Where do you want to put your energy?
Well, I think one of the things that I go door to door I hear about, and different groups have different priorities. I hear affordability being one issue, that we need to balance that taxes and expenses within town with having great services. So we need to always be cognizant of the fact that we have to balance that. And affordability is a key issue. And if you hear why people choose Framingham, affordability is one of those issues. Obviously, the schools are very important. The schools that are not performing, underperforming schools, need to have some 10 to 11 care and attention to that. But we also have to make sure that the other schools stay strong and continue to grow. So I think schools are very, very important. And something I learned when I was on the selectman, and we went around to various neighborhood meetings. Traffic is a major, major concern almost across every neighborhood. And that was one of the reasons why when I was on the Charter Commission, I pushed for a traffic commission to be established so that we can look at issues and solutions around traffic-related matters. So I think those are the things that I hear mostly.
And you had mentioned one of the things you're most excited about is this new district representation.
Yes.
Just to remind folks, you're running to be the city councilor for District 5, the newly formed District 5, which is precincts 8 and 12.
Yes.
And I like to keep reminding folks, you don't need to be reminded, but maybe folks at home, I need to be reminded every so often, that if you were in a precinct yesterday, you're still in a precinct.
That's right.
Your precincts determine where you vote and who your state rep is. So for example, District 5 is precincts 8 and 12. People in Precinct 8, you vote at Wesley United Methodist, and I'm your state rep.
Yes.
If you live in Precinct 12, you vote at the Memorial Building, and my wonderful colleague Chris Walsh is your state rep. You're fortunate both groups have Karen Spilka as their senator, so that's a little easier. But you're now part of District 5, which lives right on the border of just a little bit north of Route 9, a little bit south of Route 9. What do you find are the unique needs of that part of Framingham, and how do you plan to advocate for them?
I think District 5 is a I kind of describe it as the heart of the Framingham, in the sense it's right in the middle. And if you look at the way the charter was developed, there's 4 districts on the north side, 4 districts on the south side. And the one district that really straddles both sides is District 5. I see it as being the bridge of being able to have that consensus between north and south, and to develop that bridge and to try to play that role of consensus builder around not only the bridge of the divide, but also around the whole notion of there's a divide in town around yes or no around the Charter Commission vote. So having that role, I think is very, very important on the City Council to be able to bring that together. And I think District 5 plays a geographic center of that. But uniquely, I think it has a couple things. One is Mount Waite, obviously, the blighted plaza for many, many years, is a concern that needs to find a solution. When I was on the Board of Selectmen, we had a solution. We had a fully permitted development that when I left the board fell apart for a whole host of reasons between the landlord, the town, and the owner of Dunkin' Donuts, unfortunately. But now, recently, we've had now a new proposal come forward, and I'm still hopeful that we can be able to shape that to make it neighborhood friendly. So that's an issue. The other issue is really how do we rebuild Fuller Middle School, and having, as you know, having the state now have initial approval of that for probably 55% funding for that school is a big win for us, and so that's a big issue. And I also think that because Route 9 and Route 30 really goes into the heart of the district, it divides the district, encroachment from those businesses and so forth and developments along Route 9 into the neighborhoods, I think, is very, very critical. We need to be able to be cognizant of the fact of limiting the amount of encroachment, so the quality of life in the neighborhood stay residential as opposed to some other encroachments that do often occur. Framingham State encroaches with the parking, some of the student parking, which I was able to help when I was a Board of Selectmen, and also some of the athletic fields were growing, and neighbors were concerned, being able to work with Framingham State to limit that encroachment. So those are the kind of things that I think are important too in the district.
Excellent. And you mentioned that you've been doing a lot of door-to-door knocking, having good conversations. How's that been?
Good. I mean,
it's been about almost a year since I've knocked on a door, so I feel like I'm getting rusty, and I'm trying to live vicariously through.
It's fun.
all of you.
I enjoy doing that. I
as
enjoy
do I.
talking to folks. It's always nice being recognized and by people. But it's also a learning experience too. And those are some things I heard as I talk.
There's nothing quite like waking up someone's baby or interrupting their dinner. To be honest, like being at their front door and being, realizing that they have a captive audience in you, but you also,
no question,
you don't know if it's going to be a 30-second conversation or a 20-minute conversation.
No question. I've been invited to come in for coffee by some people. Yes.
And after a couple hours of canvassing, sometimes those cups of coffee turned into pots, and they're a good treat. Yeah. So you were somebody, you said it, you grew up in Framingham, you were born in Framingham, your kids have gone to school in Framingham, you have grandkids here. I don't know if I've ever seen you outside of Framingham, so I'm sure that you're let out of town limits every so often. I have to believe that there's something about this town that has prevented you from leaving. But beyond that, has led you to this place in your life where you've ran successfully for selectmen and town meeting, but now making this decision as Framingham journeys from being a town to a city, and we're going through the growing pains that come with that, to put yourself out there yet again to run for city council. What is it? What is it about Framingham?
Well, I mean, I love Framingham. I was, from the very early part of my life, I had an affinity for Framingham. I think I got it from my father, who really loved Framingham himself. So it's part of me. And if it fails, then I fail. And if it succeeds, then I succeed. And that's how I feel from the very, very core. And that's what inspired me from getting involved with the community as I have, and inspires me today.
Excellent. I'm just so grateful for the work you've done in the community. I mentioned before that you work for Karen Spilka. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for
Sure.
the senator?
I work part-time for the senator as her district liaison.
Which is why I see you everywhere.
Yeah, right. And basically, I keep my eyes and ears open to things that are going on in the community. Anywhere we can help, whether it's a personal problem or whether it's a state issue, or a town issue or whatever it is, being able to involve and try to help out. And it really kind of fulfills some of that need I have of being able to help.
Excellent, and you do a great job at it.
Thank you, Representative.
So just to remind folks at home, you are running for the District 5 City Councilor position, which is precincts
8 and 12.
Excellent. Precinct 8 votes at Wesley United Methodist, and Precinct 12
Town Hall.
For those tuning in at home, if you live in these districts, your options come November 7th. Excellent. I'm just testing you.
Yeah, I know you are. That's a good quiz.
November 7th. There you go.
Quiz.
Gotta make sure we're all staying awake today. For those who live in precincts 8 or 12, remember that for the district candidates, your options are Robert Case and Dennis Giombetti. If you missed it during this program, Robert's interview was right before Dennis's. And I just want to also take a moment. I've been watching some of the chatter on Facebook. When we go to vote, you're going to have the opportunity to vote for one of the mayoral candidates. We've now limited it down to 2. We have 11 city council positions. 2 of them are at large, so you'll be able to vote for 2 of those folks. And then, based on where you live, you're going to be able to vote for 1 candidate, which means when you go to the ballot, you're going to have the option of voting for mayor. You're going to have the option of voting for the at-large folks, 2 of the 4. You're going to have the option for voting for one of the district candidates, which if you live in District 5, it's Dennis or Robert. And then, we should never forget, there's going to be the 5th, the school committee options is going to be the 5th one. So you'll have 5 different questions to answer, or 5 different groups of people to pick from. And I urge you to continue to do your research. These candidates are out there, they're knocking on doors. If they haven't knocked on your door yet, look out the window because they might be coming. They all have wonderful presence online, and I urge you to continue to do your homework, reach out to them, they're all accessible. Dennis, I'm so grateful for you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me again, Jack.
It's been fun working together since I was elected. I wish you the best of luck on November 7th.
Thank you very much.
For those tuning in at home, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.